small town of Willow Creek was known for its quiet, uneventful existence. Nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, it was the kind of place where everyone knew everyone else and nothing ever happened without the whole town knowing about it. That's why, when the bridge appeared overnight, it caused such a stir. It was a strange structure unlike anything anyone had ever seen before. The bridge was made of a shimmering, almost translucent material that seemed to shift and change color depending on the angle of the sun. It arched gracefully over the river that ran through the town, leading to a dense fog that obscured whatever lay on the other side. The townsfolk gathered at the riverbank, murmuring amongst themselves, unsure of what to make of the sudden appearance. At first, some thought it might be a prank or perhaps some kind of art installation. But as the days passed and the bridge remained, it became clear that this was something far more mysterious. The local authorities were called in, but they were just as baffled as everyone else. Engineers and scientists from nearby cities came to examine the bridge, but none could explain its origin or purpose. The bridge seemed to defy all known laws of physics. It had no visible supports, and yet it stood firm, unaffected by the wind or the weight of those who dared to walk on it. The material it was made of was unlike anything ever seen before, smooth to the touch, yet impossibly strong. It was as if the bridge had been plucked from another world and placed there by some unseen hand. As the days turned into weeks, the bridge became a source of fascination and fear for the townsfolk. Some believed it was a gift from the gods, a portal to a better world. Others thought it was a curse, a trap set by some malevolent force. But despite the fear and uncertainty, there were those who were drawn to the bridge, unable to resist its allure. The first to cross was Old Man Jenkins, a reclusive figure who lived on the outskirts of town. He had always been a bit of an oddball, and no one was surprised when he decided to be the first to test the bridge. The townsfolk watched in silence as he stepped onto the shimmering surface, his figure slowly disappearing into the fog. He never returned. Next was Sarah Thompson, a young mother of two. She had always been adventurous, and the mystery of the bridge was too much for her to resist. She kissed her children goodbye, promising to return soon, and stepped onto the bridge. Like Jenkins, she vanished into the fog, never to be seen again. One by one, others followed, drawn by curiosity, desperation, or a sense of adventure. But no matter who crossed, the result was always the same. They would step onto the bridge, walk into the fog, and disappear. No one ever returned. The town was thrown into chaos. Families were torn apart, and the once peaceful community was now filled with fear and suspicion. The authorities tried to cordon off the bridge, but it was no use. The bridge seemed to have a will of its own, and no barrier could keep people away. It was in this atmosphere of fear and uncertainty that a curious teenager named Alex decided to investigate the bridge. Alex had always been fascinated by mysteries, and the bridge was the biggest mystery Willow Creek had ever seen. Unlike the others, Alex wasn't content to just stand by and watch. Alex wanted answers. Alex had always been different. While most of the kids in Willow Creek were content to spend their days playing video games or hanging out at the local diner, Alex was more interested in books, science, and the mysteries of the universe. The sudden appearance of the bridge had captivated Alex's imagination like nothing else ever had. While others were afraid, Alex saw an opportunity, a chance to uncover the truth behind the bridge and the strange fog that shrouded its other side. Alex's parents, like most of the townsfolk, were terrified of the bridge. They had forbidden Alex from going anywhere near it, but that only made the teenager more determined. Alex knew that the key to understanding the bridge lay in gathering as much information as possible. And so, armed with a notebook, a camera, and an insatiable curiosity, Alex began to investigate. The first step was to talk to the people who had seen the bridge up close. Alex started with Mrs. Henderson, the town's librarian, who had been one of the first to witness the bridge's appearance. Mrs. Henderson was a no-nonsense woman in her 60s, with a sharp mind and a keen eye for detail. She had been walking her dog by the river that fateful morning when she saw the bridge materialize out of thin air. "It was like nothing I've ever seen," Mrs. Henderson told Alex, her voice trembling with a mix of awe and fear. "One minute there was nothing but the river, and the next, this thing just appeared. It was beautiful but also wrong. Like it didn't belong here." Alex scribbled down every word, asking follow-up questions about the bridge's appearance, the fog, and the strange material it was made of. Mrs. Henderson didn't have all the answers, but her observations were invaluable. She described the bridge as alive, as if it were somehow aware of its surroundings. She also mentioned a faint humming sound that seemed to emanate from the structure, a sound that no one else had noticed. Next, Alex sought out Mr. Thompson, the husband of Sarah Thompson, the young mother who had crossed the bridge and never returned. Mr. Thompson was a broken man, his eyes hollow and his voice barely above a whisper. He had been against Sarah's decision to cross the bridge, but she had been determined. She said she felt drawn to it, Mr. Thompson said, his voice cracking. Like it was calling to her. I tried to stop her, but she wouldn't listen. And now she's gone. Alex's heart ached for Mr. Thompson, but the teenager pressed on, asking about Sarah's state of mind before she crossed. Had she seemed different? Had she said anything unusual? Mr. Thompson shook his head. She was just Sarah. She was always curious, always wanting to explore. But this was different. It was like she wasn't herself anymore. As Alex continued to gather information, a pattern began to emerge. Those who had crossed the bridge had all described feeling a strange pull, as if the bridge were calling to them. Some had even claimed to hear voices whispering promises of a better world on the other side. But what was most disturbing was the fact that no one who had crossed had ever returned. It was as if the bridge were a one-way portal, swallowing people whole and never letting them go. Determined to uncover the truth, Alex decided to take a closer look at the bridge itself. Late one night, when the town was asleep, Alex sneaked out of the house and made their way to the riverbank. The bridge loomed in the darkness, its shimmering surface reflecting the moonlight in an eerie, otherworldly glow. The fog on the other side seemed thicker at night, almost impenetrable. Alex approached the bridge cautiously, heart pounding in their chest. The humming sound Mrs. Henderson had mentioned was faint but unmistakable, a low, resonant vibration that seemed to emanate from the very core of the structure. Alex reached out to touch the bridge, half expecting it to be cold or unyielding. But to their surprise, the surface was warm, almost alive. As Alex stood there, hand pressed against the bridge, a strange sensation washed over them. It was as if the bridge were communicating with them, not in words, but in feelings. Images flashed through Alex's mind, vivid, disjointed scenes of a world unlike anything they had ever seen. A world of towering crystal spires, lush forests, and skies filled with swirling colors. It was beautiful, but also unsettling, as if the world were somehow wrong. Alex pulled their hand away, shaken but more determined than ever. The bridge was more than just a structure. It was a portal, a gateway to another world. But what kind of world? And why had no one returned? As Alex turned to leave, a voice called out from the fog. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but unmistakable. Alex, it whispered. Come closer. Alex froze, heart racing. The voice was familiar, but they couldn't place it. It was soft, almost soothing, but there was something beneath it. Something dark and dangerous. Who's there? Alex called out, their voice trembling. The voice didn't respond. Instead, the fog seemed to part slightly, revealing a glimpse of the other side. Alex's breath caught in their throat. The world beyond the bridge was even more breathtaking than the images they had seen in their mind. But there was something else, something lurking just out of sight. Something that made Alex's skin crawl. Alex took a step back, suddenly unsure. The bridge was calling to them, just as it had called to the others. But was it a call worth answering? Alex stood at the edge of the bridge, torn between curiosity and fear. The voice that had called out from the fog was gone now, but its echo lingered in their mind. The images of the other world, the crystal spires, the swirling skies were still vivid, almost hypnotic. But the unease that had settled in Alex's chest refused to go away. Something about that world felt off, like it was too perfect, too beautiful to be real. For days, Alex couldn't stop thinking about the bridge. The notebook was filled with sketches, observations, and theories, but none of it brought Alex any closer to understanding what the bridge truly was. The more Alex learned, the more questions arose. Why had it appeared in Willow Creek? Why did it call to certain people? And most importantly, what happened to those who crossed? Alex's parents noticed the change in their child. They saw the dark circles under Alex's eyes, the distracted look, the way Alex would stare out the window toward the river for hours on end. They tried to talk to Alex, to reassure them that the bridge was nothing but trouble, but their words fell on deaf ears. Alex was consumed by the mystery and nothing could pull them away. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the town was bathed in a golden glow, Alex made a decision. They would cross the bridge. Not out of recklessness, but out of a need to understand. Alex knew it was dangerous, knew that no one who had crossed had ever returned, but the pull was too strong to resist. If there was even a chance of finding answers, Alex had to take it. Before leaving, Alex packed a small bag with essentials, a flashlight, a notebook, a camera, and a few snacks. They also left a note for their parents, explaining what they were doing and promising to return. It wasn't much, but it was the best Alex could do. The bridge was even more mesmerizing at dusk. The shimmering surface seemed to glow with an inner light, and the fog on the other side was tinged with hues of pink and orange. Alex took a deep breath, stepped onto the bridge, and began to walk. The humming sound grew louder with each step, vibrating through Alex's body. The air felt charged, almost electric, and the fog seemed to part as Alex moved forward. The world around them faded away, replaced by a strange, dreamlike haze. It was as if time and space had lost all meaning. As Alex reached the midpoint of the bridge, the voice returned. "You're almost there," it whispered. Just a little further, Alex hesitated. The voice was soothing, but there was something about it that made their skin crawl. It was too sweet, too inviting. Like a predator luring its prey into a trap. But Alex couldn't turn back now. They had come too far. Finally, Alex stepped off the bridge and into the fog. For a moment, everything was blindingly white, and Alex felt a wave of disorientation. Then, slowly, the fog began to clear, revealing the world on the other side. It was even more breathtaking than Alex had imagined. The crystal spires towered into the sky, their surfaces reflecting the light in a dazzling array of colors. The air was filled with the scent of flowers, and the ground beneath Alex's feet was soft, almost spongy. In the distance, Alex could see a forest of trees with leaves that shimmered like gold. But as beautiful as it was, there was something unsettling about the world. The colors were too bright, the air too still. There were no birds, no animals, no signs of life other than the plants. And the silence, it was deafening. Alex took a few cautious steps forward, the camera in hand. They snapped a few pictures, documenting everything they saw. The notebook was open, and Alex scribbled down observations as quickly as they could. But the more Alex explored, the more uneasy they became. The world seemed to shift and change around them. Paths that had been clear a moment ago would suddenly disappear, replaced by walls of crystal or dense thickets of golden trees. The sky, which had been a swirling tapestry of colors, now seemed to pulse with a strange, rhythmic light. And the voice, it was always there, whispering just out of earshot. After what felt like hours, Alex came across a clearing. In the center of the clearing was a pool of water, its surface perfectly still. As Alex approached, they saw their reflection in the water, but it wasn't quite right. The reflection was older, more worn, with eyes that seemed to hold a lifetime of sorrow. "What is this place?" Alex whispered, more to themselves than anyone else. The voice answered, "This is your world now. A world without pain, without fear. A world where you can be whoever you want to be." Alex spun around, searching for the source of the voice, but there was no one there. "Who are you?" they demanded. "What do you want from me?" The voice laughed, a soft, melodic sound that sent shivers down Alex's spine. "I am the keeper of this world, and you, Alex, are my guest. But you must choose. Will you stay, or will you return?" Alex's heart raced. The offer was tempting. A world without pain, without fear. It sounded like paradise. But Alex couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. This world was too perfect, too controlled. It wasn't real. "I want to go back," Alex said firmly. The voice sighed, a sound filled with both disappointment and amusement. "Very well. But remember, Alex, the bridge is always here. If you change your mind..." Before Alex could respond, the world began to dissolve around them. The crystal spires, the golden trees, the pool of water. All of it faded away, replaced by the blinding white fog. Alex felt a sudden rush of wind, and then they were back on the bridge, standing at the edge of the fog. Alex stumbled backward, their heart pounding. They had done it, they had crossed the bridge and returned. But as they looked back at the fog, they couldn't shake the feeling that something had followed them. Alex stood on the bridge, trembling, as the fog slowly closed in behind them. The world they had just left felt like a dream, but the weight of it lingered in their mind. The voice, the crystal spires, the golden trees. It all felt too real to dismiss as mere imagination. But what did it mean? And why had Alex been able to return when no one else had? As Alex made their way back to town, the questions swirled in their head like a storm. The notebook and camera were clutched tightly in their hands, the evidence of their journey. But evidence of what? A strange, beautiful world that seemed to exist just beyond the reach of reality? A world that offered paradise but felt like a trap? When Alex reached home, their parents were frantic. They had found the note and had been searching for hours. Their relief at seeing Alex safe was quickly replaced by anger and fear. "Where have you been?" their mother demanded, tears streaming down her face. "Do you have any idea how worried we were?" Alex tried to explain, but the words came out in a jumbled mess. "I crossed the bridge," they said. "I saw another world. It was beautiful, but it wasn't real. I think it's a trap. I think it's keeping people there." Their parents exchanged worried glances. "Alex, you're not making any sense," their father said gently. "You've been through a lot. Let's just sit down and talk about this." But Alex couldn't sit still. They needed to figure out what was going on. They needed to understand the bridge and the world it led to. And they needed to find a way to bring back the people who had crossed, people like Sarah Thompson and Old Man Jenkins. Over the next few days, Alex threw themselves into research. They pored over books on physics, mythology, and alternate dimensions. They interviewed anyone who had seen the bridge up close, gathering every detail they could. And they studied the photos they had taken, looking for clues. One photo in particular caught their attention. It was a shot of the pool of water in the clearing, with Alex's distorted reflection staring back. But as Alex zoomed in, they noticed something strange. In the reflection, there was a faint outline of something behind them, a shadowy figure, barely visible but unmistakable. Alex's heart raced. Had someone or something been watching them the entire time? Was that the source of the voice? The keeper of the world? Determined to find answers, Alex decided to visit the bridge again. This time, they brought a voice recorder and a small drone equipped with a camera. If they were going to uncover the truth, they needed to gather as much evidence as possible. The bridge was just as mesmerizing as before, its shimmering surface glowing in the sunlight. The fog on the other side seemed thicker, almost impenetrable. Alex set up the drone and sent it flying into the fog, watching the live feed on their phone. At first, the feed showed nothing but white. But as the drone flew deeper, the fog began to clear, revealing the same world Alex had seen before. The crystal spires, the golden trees, the pool of water, it was all there. But this time, there was something else. In the distance, the drone captured a figure. It was tall and slender, with skin that shimmered like the bridge itself. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and its movements were smooth, almost mechanical. The figure seemed to be watching the drone, its head tilting curiously. Alex's breath caught in their throat. This was the keeper, the voice? And it was real. Before Alex could react, the figure raised a hand and the drone's feed went dark. Alex tried to regain control, but it was no use. The drone was gone. Shaken but determined, Alex decided to cross the bridge again. This time, they would confront the keeper directly. They needed answers and they weren't going to stop until they got them. As Alex stepped onto the bridge, the humming sound returned, vibrating through their body. The fog parted and once again, Alex found themselves in the other world. But this time, the keeper was waiting for them. "You've returned," the keeper said, its voice echoing in Alex's mind. "I knew you would." Alex took a deep breath, trying to steady their nerves. "Who are you?" they demanded. "What is this place? And why are you keeping people here?" The keeper smiled, a slow, unsettling smile. "This is a sanctuary," it said. "A place where souls can find peace. Those who cross the bridge are lost, searching for something they cannot find in your world. Here, they can be free." "But they're not free," Alex argued. "They're trapped. You're keeping them here against their will." The keeper's smile faded, replaced by a look of cold indifference. "They chose to come here," it said. "Just as you did. And just as you can choose to stay." Alex shook their head. "I'm not staying. And I'm not leaving without the others. Let them go." The keeper's eyes narrowed. "You do not understand the gift I am offering. This world is perfect. There is no pain, no fear, no suffering. Why would anyone want to leave?" "Because it's not real," Alex said firmly. "It's a lie. And I'm not going to let you keep lying to people." The keeper's expression darkened, and for a moment, Alex thought it might attack. But then it smiled again, a slow, knowing smile. "Very well," it said. "If you wish to leave, you may. But know this, Alex, the bridge will always be here. And one day you will return." Before Alex could respond, the world began to dissolve around them. The crystal spires, the golden trees, the keeper, all of it faded away, replaced by the blinding white fog. Alex felt a sudden rush of wind, and then they were back on the bridge, standing at the edge of the fog. But this time, something was different. As Alex looked back at the fog, they saw a figure emerging, a figure they recognized. It was Sarah Thompson. Alex's heart leaped into their throat as Sarah Thompson stepped out of the fog. She looked exactly as Alex remembered her hair tied back in a loose braid, her eyes wide with a mix of confusion and relief. But there was something different about her, something Alex couldn't quite place. Her movements were slow, deliberate, as if she were walking through water, and her expression was distant, almost dreamlike. "Sarah?" Alex whispered, taking a cautious step forward. "Is that really you?" Sarah blinked, her gaze slowly focusing on Alex. "Alex," she said, her voice soft and trembling. Where am I?" "You're back," Alex said, their voice filled with a mix of relief and disbelief. "You're in Willow Creek. You crossed the bridge, but you're back now." Sarah looked around, her eyes widening as she took in the familiar sights of the riverbank and the town beyond. I remember the bridge," she said slowly. "I remember crossing it. But after that, it's all a blur. There was a world, so beautiful, so perfect, but it wasn't real, was it?" Alex shook their head. "No, it wasn't. It's a trap. But you're safe now. You're home." Sarah's legs gave out and she sank to the ground, tears streaming down her face. Alex knelt beside her, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. "It's okay," they said. "You're okay." But as Alex looked back at the bridge, a cold knot of dread formed in their stomach. Sarah had returned, but what about the others? Old Man Jenkins, the teenagers who had crossed, the dozens of others who had vanished into the fog, were they still trapped in that other world? And what about the keeper? It had let Sarah go, but why? Was this some kind of trick? Alex helped Sarah to her feet and guided her back to town. The sight of her walking down the main street caused a stir. People stopped in their tracks, staring in disbelief. Whispers spread like wildfire, and soon a crowd had gathered, everyone clamoring to know what had happened. Sarah's husband, Mr. Thompson, pushed his way through the crowd, his face a mask of shock and relief. "Sarah," he cried, pulling her into a tight embrace. "You're alive. You're really alive." Sarah clung to him, sobbing. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to leave you. I didn't mean to leave the kids." As the crowd buzzed with excitement, Alex slipped away, their mind racing. Sarah's return was a miracle, but it didn't solve the problem. The bridge was still there, and the keeper was still out there, luring people into its trap. Alex needed to figure out how to stop it, how to close the bridge for good. Over the next few days, Alex worked tirelessly, piecing together everything they had learned. They studied the photos and recordings from their trips across the bridge, searching for any clue that might help them understand the keeper's world. They consulted books on mythology and folklore, looking for stories of bridges to other worlds or beings that lured people away. And they talked to Sarah, trying to piece together her memories of the other world. But the more Alex learned, the more complicated the problem seemed. The keeper's world wasn't just a physical place, it was a construct, a creation of the keeper's will. It existed outside of time and space, a pocket dimension that could only be accessed through the bridge. And the keeper itself was a being of immense power, capable of bending reality to its will. Alex realized that closing the bridge wouldn't be enough. They needed to confront the keeper to break its hold on the other world and free the people trapped there. But how? The keeper was powerful, almost godlike. How could Alex possibly stand against it? One night, as Alex sat in their room, staring at the photos of the other world, an idea began to form. The keeper's world was a construct, a creation of its will. But what if that will could be disrupted? What if Alex could find a way to destabilize the world to break the keeper's control? It was a long shot, but it was the only plan Alex had. They would need to cross the bridge again to enter the keeper's world and find a way to disrupt it from within. It was dangerous, more dangerous than anything Alex had ever done, but they had no choice. The people of Willow Creek were counting on them. Alex packed a bag with supplies, a flashlight, a notebook, a camera, and a small device they had cobbled together using parts from an old radio. The device was designed to emit a high-frequency sound, something Alex hoped might disrupt the keeper's control over its world. It was a long shot, but it was the best they could do. As Alex prepared to leave, their parents stopped them at the door. "Where are you going?" their mother asked, her voice filled with worry. "I have to do something," Alex said. "I have to stop the bridge. I have to bring the others back." Their father shook his head. "Alex, this is too dangerous. You've already done so much. Let the authorities handle this." "They can't," Alex said firmly. "They don't understand what's going on. But I do. And I'm the only one who can stop it." Their parents exchanged a worried glance, but they didn't try to stop Alex. They knew their child well enough to know that once Alex had made up their mind, there was no changing it. As Alex approached the bridge, the humming sound grew louder, vibrating through their body. The fog on the other side seemed thicker, almost alive. Alex took a deep breath, stepped onto the bridge, and began to walk. The journey was the same as before, the disorientation, the dreamlike haze, the sense of being pulled into another world. But this time, Alex was ready. They had a plan, and they weren't going to let the Keeper stop them. As the fog cleared, Alex found themselves back in the Keeper's world. The crystal spires, the golden trees, the pool of water. It was all there, just as beautiful and unsettling as before. But this time, Alex wasn't alone. The Keeper was waiting for them. The Keeper stood at the edge of the clearing, its shimmering form radiating an otherworldly glow. Its eyes locked onto Alex, and a slow, knowing smile spread across its face. "You've returned," it said, its voice echoing in Alex's mind. "I knew you would. You cannot resist the call of this world." Alex clenched their fists, steeling themselves against the Keeper's hypnotic presence. "I'm not here to stay," they said firmly. "I'm here to stop you. To free the people you've trapped." The Keeper tilted its head, its expression one of mild amusement. "You think you can stop me? A mere child armed with nothing but determination? How quaint." Alex ignored the taunt and reached into their bag, pulling out the device they had built. "This world isn't real," they said. "It's a construct, a creation of your will, and I'm going to disrupt it." The Keeper's smile faltered for a moment, but it quickly recovered. "You are clever," it admitted, "but you underestimate my power. This world is mine to control. You cannot hope to challenge me." Alex activated the device, and a high-pitched whine filled the air. The Keeper's form flickered, and for a moment, the crystal spires and golden trees seemed to waver as if they were nothing more than a mirage. But then the Keeper raised a hand and the sound was silenced. "A valiant effort," the Keeper said, its voice cold, but futile. Alex's heart sank, but they refused to give up. They had come too far to back down now. "You're wrong," they said, their voice steady. "This world may be yours, but the people here, they don't belong to you. They have families, lives, people who love them. And I'm not leaving without them." The Keeper's expression darkened, and for the first time, Alex saw a flicker of anger in its glowing eyes. "You dare defy me?" it hissed. "You were nothing but a speck, a fleeting moment in the vastness of existence. I could erase you with a thought." "Then do it," Alex challenged, stepping closer. "But if you do, you'll prove that you're afraid. Afraid of someone who sees through your lies. Afraid of someone who refuses to be controlled." The Keeper's form flickered again, and this time, the entire world seemed to shudder. The crystal spires cracked, the golden trees withered, and the pool of water turned dark and murky. The Keeper's voice grew louder, more desperate. "You cannot win. This world is eternal. I am eternal." "No," Alex said, their voice ringing with conviction. "You're not. You're just a shadow hiding behind illusions. And I'm not afraid of you." With that, Alex raised the device again, this time turning it to its maximum setting. The high-pitched whine returned, louder and more intense than before. The Keeper's form began to dissolve, its shimmering surface breaking apart into fragments of light. The world around them crumbled, the crystal spires collapsing, the golden trees turning to dust. "No!" the Keeper screamed, its voice filled with rage and despair. "You cannot do this. I am the Keeper. I am the master of this world." "Not anymore," Alex said, their voice firm. "This world is over." With a final, deafening crack, the Keeper's form shattered, and the world dissolved into nothingness. Alex felt a rush of wind, and then they were back on the bridge, standing at the edge of the fog. But this time, the fog was gone, replaced by a clear, open sky. Alex turned and saw a group of people emerging from the bridge. Old Man Jenkins, the teenagers who had crossed, and dozens of others who had been trapped in the Keeper's world. They looked dazed and confused, but they were alive. They were free. As the townsfolk gathered on the riverbank, Alex felt a wave of exhaustion wash over them. They had done it. They had faced the Keeper, destroyed its world, and brought the lost souls home. But as they looked at the bridge, now silent and still, they knew it wasn't over. The bridge was still there, its shimmering surface a reminder of the danger it posed. Alex knew they couldn't leave it standing. They had to make sure no one else would ever be lured into its trap. With the help of the townsfolk, Alex organized a plan to dismantle the bridge. Engineers and scientists were brought in to study its structure, and together they worked to dismantle it piece by piece. It wasn't easy. The bridge's material was unlike anything they had ever seen. But with determination and teamwork, they succeeded. As the final piece of the bridge was removed, Alex felt a sense of closure. The danger was gone, the keeper's world destroyed, and the people of Willow Creek were safe. But Alex knew they would never forget what they had seen, what they had faced. In the weeks that followed, life in Willow Creek returned to normal. The townsfolk celebrated the return of their loved ones, and Alex was hailed as a hero. But Alex didn't feel like a hero. They had simply done what needed to be done. One evening, as Alex stood by the river, watching the water flow where the bridge had once stood, Sarah Thompson approached them. "Thank you," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. "You saved us. You saved me." Alex smiled, but their eyes were distant. "I just did what I had to do," they said. "But I'll never forget that world. It was beautiful, but it wasn't real. And that's what made it so dangerous." Sarah nodded, her expression thoughtful. "You're right, but because of you, we're free. And we'll never forget what you did for us." As the sun set over Willow Creek, Alex felt a sense of peace. The bridge was gone, the keeper defeated, and the town was safe. But Alex knew that the world was full of mysteries, and there would always be new challenges to face. And when those challenges came, Alex would be ready.